Footnote to Youth by Jose Garcia Villa. The sun was salmon and hazy in the west. Dodong was thinking of telling his father about his plan to marry Taeyang when he got home. He unhitched the carabao from the plow to its shed and fed it. He was hesitant, but he wanted his father to know. Dodong finally decided to tell him, although his father might refuse.
I will tell him. I will tell him.
Dodong wanted to marry. However, he was only 17. He had pimples on his face, and down on his upper lip was already dark. He was growing into a man. He was already a man. Dodong stumbled upon a creek on his way home. As he walking, he thought of Taeyang, his girl. She had a small brown face, small black eyes, and a glossy hair. She was a dream girl to him. It was dusk when he reached home. His family had already set the table. They all sat on the ground and ate fish and rice. Dodong was still thinking about how he would tell his father.
Dodong's father went out to wash the dishes, while his father remained in the room sucking a diseased tooth. Dodong knew he had to tell him. I am going to marry Taeyang. His father looked at him silently and stopped sucking the broken tooth. The silence became more intense and cruel, and Dodong wished his father would just suck that troublesome tooth again. His father was just looking at him without saying anything.
I will marry Taeyang. I will marry Taeyang.
His father just kept gazing at him silently, and Dodong fidgeted on his seat.
I asked her last night to marry me and she said yes. I want your permission. I want it.
You are very young, Dodong.
I'm 17.
That is very young to get married at.
I want to marry Taeyang, a good girl.
Tell your mother, Dodong.
You will let me marry Taeyang?
Son, if that is your wish, of course.
Dodong stood in the sweltering noon heat, sweating profusely. He was as still as a tree, and his thoughts were confused. Taeyang was giving birth to their first child. Dodong was hearing Taeyang's screams that chilled his blood. He did not want her to scream like that. He figured that in a few moments he would be a father.
Father, I would be a father.
He was young. He realized now.
Come up, Dodong. It is over.
Dodong suddenly felt embarrassed as he looked at her. He dropped his eyes and pretended to dust dirt off his shorts.
Dodong. Dodong.
Dodong, it is a boy.
Dodong felt more embarrassed and did not move. His parents' eyes seemed to pierce through him and he felt limp. He wanted to hide and run away.
Dodong, you come up. You come up.
Dodong did not want to come up and stayed in the sun.
Dodong. Dodong.
I'll come up.
Taeyang was sound asleep on the papag with their black hair soft around her face. Dodong wanted to touch her, but he felt that feeling of embarrassment once again. He heard a thin voice and it pierced him queerly. He was happy.
You gave him to me. You gave him to me.
Blas was not Dodong's only child. Many more children came. For 6 years, a new child came along. Dodong did not want any more children, but they came. It seemed like it could not be helped. Dodong got angry with himself sometimes.
Taeyang did not complain, but the bearing of children told on her. She was shapeless and thin now, even if she was young. There was so much work to be done: cooking, laundering, the house, the children. She cried sometimes, wishing she had not married, although she did not tell Dodong this, not wishing him to dislike her. One night, as Dodong laid beside his wife, he rose and went out of the house. He stood in the moonlight, tired and querulous. He was wondering why life did not fulfill of youth's dreams, why it was forsaken after love. Dodong would not find the answer. Maybe the question was not be answered. It must be so to make youth. Youth. Youth must be dreamfully sweet.
Dodong returned to the house, humiliated by himself. When Blas was 18, he came home one night, very flustered and happy. It was late at night, and Dodong heard Blas' steps.
Blas, you better go to sleep. It is late.
Itay,
Yes, anak?
I am going to marry Tona. She accepted me tonight. I love Tona, and I want her.
You want to marry Tona. Have you already made up your mind?
I will marry Tona. You have any objections, Itay?
Son, none.
Deep inside, Dodong didn't want Blas to marry at such a young age. However, he was helpless. He could not do anything. Youth must be triumphed now. Love must triumph now. Afterwards, it will be life. As long ago, youth and love did triumph for Dodong. And then life. Dodong looked wistfully at his young son in the moonlight. He felt extremely sad and sorry for him.